long-awaited film version of local author Daniel Brown's best-selling book, The Boys in the Boat, premieres on the big screen on Christmas Day. Directed by George Clooney, it's the incredible true story of the University of Washington rowing team that defied the odds to capture the gold medal in the 1936 Olympic Games. I had a chance to sit down with George Clooney and Daniel Brown to discuss how the book and the film came to life.
That bunch of kids rode like no one else that's ever come through here.
Everybody else tires and it just gets stronger.
And I thought it was a cinematic story because it's a real, you're going to beat the seniors, you're going to beat the elite schools, and then you're going to beat Hitler. It's a pretty good story.
Tell me about how the Boys in the Boat came into your life and how you decided to tell their story.
Yeah, I literally walked into my house one day. This lady named Judy Rance-Willman is my neighbor. She came to me. She said she'd been reading one of my earlier books to her dad, and he was liking the book and asked me if I'd come down and meet him. So I think it was the next day I went down. I met this elderly gentleman named Joe Rance, and it turned out he was in the last few months of his life. And then he started talking about his life story. And he talked first about all the struggles he'd had growing up during the Depression and the family situation he'd had. And I thought that was really interesting. But then he started talking about how he came to the University of Washington in 1933 and joined the crew, and then how he had wound up rowing with his crewmates in Berlin in 1936 against, amongst others, a German and Italian boats, and won Olympic gold. And I mean, like, stories like that don't just fall in your lap every day. So I was all in right away. The thing was, though, I asked him that day, I said, "Joe, can I write a book about your life?" And he said, "No. I don't want you to write a book about me, but you can write a book about the boat." And I didn't know what he meant at first. I thought he meant the Husky Clipper, the actual boat they rode in. But of course what he meant was the other guys in the boat. It had to be about everybody. And so that's the spirit in which I approached it, and started working on it pretty much the next day.
And he didn't get to see it, did he?
No, he didn't, unfortunately.
Well, that's too bad. He would have really liked it. It was a best-selling book for a reason. It's a great piece of literature. People don't, everything is Marvel movies and hard to tell original stories together. There's a lot of actual rowing that you had to make interesting, which is not something that was as easy as I thought it might be.
8-man crew is the most difficult team sport in the world.
One catch, let's go!
And by the way, we trained them for like 5 months, but after a month of them training every day, they said, "Come on out and see how they're doing." And when we finished, I literally got in the car with my buddy Grant. We were like, this is a disaster. It was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. And so we scheduled all of the rowing for the very end of the movie and trained them the whole time. Yeah. And by the end, they got it down, and they were really good.
The Washington boat has taken the lead. Washington has done it!
And coming up tomorrow on Good Day Seattle, more of my conversation with George Clooney and Daniel Brown. They explain why the movie couldn't be filmed in Seattle, but how they needed to build a replica of an iconic building on the UW campus, which plays a prominent role in the film. That's coming up tomorrow. The Boys in the Boat hits theaters on Christmas Day.
No, looking forward.